Welcome back, pilots. It's DCS World and its Plasma. I'm going to boost the lights in the external views just a little bit so you get a better idea of what's going on, but this is a night mission, and it's one of the most challenging missions that I've flown, and created for that purpose exactly, to get use of NVG goggles, and it's inspired by real events that happened in the Middle East and in Eastern Europe. Now, you'll be getting the view from this F-16 because the F-16s were used to intercept nighttime drone attacks. Also, there we go, NVGs have been installed. The NVGs are quite essential for this because you'll need to be able to see low-flying drones without crashing into the terrain. And I'll tell you this is one of the most difficult missions I've flown. Now, you can fly it alone by downloading the mission from the description in the description of the video, or you can play it online on the Red Star, that's 2 words Red Star, Fox 3 Managed Solution servers. The mission will be running from April 6th at around 8 p.m. GMT until April 11th. So you're welcome to hop in and give it a try. The mission will restart every 3 hours, and you can go at it yourself or with friends. Now, while I'm taxiing out, important thing about the NVGs. When you've got night vision goggles installed in the F-16, your field of view is limited. You'll be able to see a little bit more here because you're seeing sort of outside of the helmet, but in VR, it's pretty much just what you're seeing in those goggles. The other limitation is your instrument panel becomes blurry because the NVG's focus point is on infinity, which means if you have to look at your gauges and goggles in the cockpit while wearing the NVGs, you'll have to actually zoom in or lean forwards in your seat if you're in VR, or zoom in to actually see them. Right, you've all seen takeoffs, and there's a quick takeoff to save you some time as we roll in and start looking for our enemies. Now, because it's nighttime, I did bring some flares, and I'm setting up my countermeasures just in case. Really have to know where all the buttons are by feel. And chaff and flare is working. Let's take a look at it from the outside. As I told you, it's dark out there. Now, the enemy has begun their attack just as the AWACS that was on station is out of fuel and is coming for a landing. So you'll have an idea of where the enemies are coming from, and after that, you'll have to wait until the next AWACS is up in the air. The enemy force consists of small UAV drones coming in. They'll be flying nap of Earth, as well as a cruise missile attack and a Scud attack. Your home base is no slouch. You've got Patriot systems, Sea-Wiz, as well as a Hawk interceptor battery. The only problem is if all the missiles are expended on the drones, when those Scuds start coming down, your Patriot will be rearming and you'll be in real trouble. So your job is to take out as many drones as possible. You're welcome to come back, rearm and refuel, but every single target hit counts. And as you can see, there's a lot of targets. The TAC view in the top right-hand corner is filtered out in green colors, but each of those dots is a potential drone. I've got a lock on the first drone. Master arm is switched on, and we'll take a shot. Aim 120 is away. I tried to make it cinematic, but it's too dark to see anything. Let's wait for impact. The drones are small. You may not be able to lock them until they're within about 10 to 12 miles. Switching to Sidewinders. Looking for that explosion. There's a hit. First drone is out. Now, if you're flying this alone, it's a very challenging fight. So, you do have an AI F-18 that also takes off just before you do from the airbase. And he helps out to the south. But your drones are those to the west and to the northwest. Alright, with the first drone down, I'm starting to roll out and using my radar to scan for targets. As you can see, the data link is now empty. Our friendly AWACS has just landed and the next one will be going up, but not for a few minutes. We're counting on our FCR radar to spot targets. And we still have a direction to flow in because there's still a little bit of coverage from the AWACS, so we can see some of the targets. Now, as you can see, I've bound a button for turning on and off the night vision goggles. Typically, it's right Control H, but I recommended binding it to a quicker shortcut because you'll be switching between goggles quite often if you're hoping to use the FCR and your HSD. Now, you're not just limited to NATO aircraft. You can pick a slew of different aircraft, anything from a Mirage 2000, an F-15, or any of the Red Force jets to do this. But having those NVGs definitely helps, as you'll see in a moment. Alright, we've got another target. Still looks like a good lock. Switch back to the AIM-120s and send it away. That target is close, 5 miles. In the darkness with no points of reference, each missile shot takes forever, or at least it feels like it. Alright, successful splash, and we're using radar again. Now remember, what you're seeing now, the external view, the light is way boosted up to 3+ in post-processing. Otherwise, you're really looking for those NVGs. The target has been locked up. This one's close. 2 miles away. Switch to Sidewinders and looking for a Fox 2 launch. You can always try guns. There's Tone and Fox 2. That was just about a mile. Cinematic splash, that drone is down, and we keep patrolling. Biggest challenge of targeting drones is that they are small. So you won't be able to get a radar lock on them until under 15 miles. And as for your Sidewinder, the heat that's being generated from the small engines is so insignificant that to get a good tone, you'd be looking for under 5 miles. All this while flying over mountains. Now my radar picked something up as I make this turn, so I go into vertical scan. This allows me to pan the aircraft around and lock up targets. So there we go, we've got another lock. That guy appears to be flying up onto the mountain. And we've just lost lock. He's probably just crossed the mountain, just on the other side. No target. There is some smoke. We've locked something else, but looks like that drone did not make it over the mountains. But we do have a new target. That Angel's 12, and he's pulling away from us. Gun Pipper is dialing back. But it's very hard to see that drone against the ground, so I'm going to dive underneath him and try to get him against the sky, if possible, just to get a sort of an outline of him. But with the sun coming up, it's almost impossible to see the gun funnel. Remember, short control bursts. Got hits. The drone's smoking. That should be enough to knock it out. Good hits. As you saw there, I had to fly with my air brakes extended to get slow enough to get that gun solution. All I can say is props and kudos to those pilots who have been flying these sorties in Eastern Europe and in the Middle East. This is not for the faint of heart. There's a pull-up cue, and I automatically pull up just in time. Again, I should have my NVGs on so I could see what's below me, but I chose to take them off right now to get a better look at my radar and FCR. Alright, next target on the nose, and I'm getting pings from the F-18, who's just to the right of him, targeting a different drone. That's the other key item of flying this mission is those Patriots and Hawk sites that are defending the airbase might target you as well. In a saturated environment, those missiles could go wild, so be careful. And also be careful of your wingman, whether it's the F-18 pilot that's flying with you, or if you've got other pilots with you flying this mission, make sure you know where they are. Just lost lock on the drone. There it is back again. Vertical scan does the job great. Still sneaking up on him. Gun reticle is dialing back. And we're being painted by the F-18 from our right side. Friendly's coming in to help. I hope he doesn't shoot on me. On this drone, 6 o'clock. There's tone. Time for a Fox 2. Another good splash. And that drone almost hit us. That was close. There's tone, there's shot. And even though the drone's hit, that almost clipped their plane. Alright, coming around again. I'm trying to keep my nose continuously pointing up, so I'm always gaining altitude when I'm not using NVGs. Remember, in a turn like this, if there's a mountain to the left, you won't see it, because your altitude radar is pointing down from your belly. So if you're in a turn like this, that's not going to help you much if you hit something with your wing. Alright, NVG's back on. Drone on the deck in front of us. As you can see, when I zoom in on the instruments, I can actually read them, but if you don't zoom in, they will be blurry because, again, the focus, once you have your NVGs on, is on infinity. So you either have to zoom in or lean forwards if you're in VR to see those instruments. And I'm thinking this is going to be pretty. We just lost lock on the drone. Trying to reacquire. There he is. Critical mistake here. I barely survive. Here he comes. I've got a Fox 2. Fox 2 is out. Splash, and the trees light up underneath me. And I panic and pull up. Let's take a look at that from the external view. I had no idea there was a hill in front of me and that the trees were this close. It was only the splash of the drone and the fire that saved me. If I kept flying straight, I probably would have hit those trees. A little bit of afterburner, and let's keep extending and building altitude coming around. Alright, looks like our friendly AWACS is back in the air. So we're able to spot some targets and dial in on them. Had brakes. Another drone down below. AIM-9X at its best. Knocking those drones out. This mission, the challenge is not avoiding enemy aircraft that might shoot at you. The challenge is find the target and don't hit the ground. Alright, coming around. Now remember, data link can always be slightly delayed. So first thing I'm going to do is put a target into primary data link contact by using the HSD and doing TMS up, then switching over to my FCR. And now I can use my radar to try to lock the target. And the Patriot battery behind me is working. That's why you're hearing all those RWR noises. Target should be here somewhere. I do a roll. No locks. There's a target coming around. Vertical scan was able to pick him up while I did a aileron roll. I'm gonna go for guns here. 20 Mike cannon. Short bursts. Drone is so small it's almost impossible to see him. Alright, we've got some hits on him. Looks like the drone has dropped its ordnance and it's in a turn. I'm hoping it's going to crash. Beautiful. That worked out. Must have knocked out some key electronics on board.
Warning.
Okay, just in time. One more target. We're out of missiles. We're now down to guns only. Should be an easy shot. Target's up against the sky to the east. Coming up slowly on him. Get him in the funnel. Short control bursts. Deploy air brakes. We're a little too fast. Pulling the trigger. No ammo. You have to let this one go. Boy, that was close. That was almost a collision. Now, as you can see on the TAC view in the top right-hand corner, there's still quite a few drones, and there's some faster-moving targets coming in from the southwest. I'm being painted by the Patriot. First I was flying directly at him, now I've offset slightly left. Last thing I want to do is fly into that Patriot while he's defending the airspace, so I'm offsetting left to go back to the base. So while I RTB, I do want to give shoutouts to Fox 3 Managed Solutions. The Red Star team has been using a Fox 3 server for a couple of years now. We do it for training, but also to host missions like this. And like I said, if you want to give this mission a try, you can download it and save it to your missions folder and run it. There will be two. One will be called daytime, one will be called nighttime. But the nighttime mission itself will be running on the Red Star, that's 2 words, Red Star 3 server. It'll be called Scud Defense. Alright, well, we're almost at base, so let's turn in, but wait for a moment. You're going to see quite a show here. As you can see on TAC view, there's a lot of targets behind me. And remember, I added that in post. You had no idea that that was happening. Now, if you do have somebody else who's flying with you, or who's not flying, but it could be your GCI, and they have DCS, they can switch into Game Master mode, or Observer, and be your guide as a GCI controller. But now we can see those missiles launching. Switching on the NVGs, we can see the smoke trails from the Patriot battery. It's firing one Patriot after another at the incoming Tomahawk cruise missiles, or maybe drones. But the worst is yet to come. There's still Scud ballistic missiles that might be raining down on this base at any moment. The goal is to come in for landing from the other side, from the east, so that you don't end up flying into the line of fire of these air defenses. Because in Eastern Europe, I'll be blunt, in Ukraine, there have been cases of fratricide where a SAM battery did take out an F-16. And look at those missiles going vertical. So you have to be able to land, rearm, and take off again, and keep defending the base for another, probably another half an hour. As I said, flying with a wingman, with a buddy, is always great because then there's 2 of you working. Look at those missiles. Gear down, straight in, short final, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Leave me a comment if you've flown this mission, and I'll tell you this is hard to do, really hard to do.